Good day, sir and classmates. So we are the Group 8 and we are here to present our topic, which is all about ANSI or American National Standard Institutions. So next slide. Next slide. So here's our group members. I'm Romeo G. MADLOS Jr. and ako yung unang mag-represent ng brief discussion about American National Standard Institution rather. Next slide. Okay, so first, let me discuss what is American National Standard Institute or ANSI. It is a private, not-for-profit group that supports voluntary standards and conformity assessment system that apply to products, processes, services, system, and personnel. According to the International Organizations for Standardization or ISO, standards are documents established by consensus that provide rules, guidelines, or characteristics or their results. So basically, American National Standards Institute or ANSI is isa siyang organization na nagsusupport sa ibang organization para makapagpatupad ng sa American National Standards, especially sa safety standard nila. And short history na a brief discussion ng history of ANSI. So it was founded in 1918. The organization had a long storied histories in the United States. So it began when five engineering societies and three government agencies joined together to support U.S. business and industries. After undergoing several name changes through the years, ANSI adopted its current name in 1969. Currently, ANSI is headquartered in Washington, D.C., with an operations office in New York City. It is led by a board of directors and a management team and employers 90 worker. So, dito sinasabi yung ANSI na established siya noong 1918. So, sobrang dami pinagdaanan ng ANSI. Marami siyang name muna marami siyang, hindi mo na ANSI name niya, marami pa siyang another term na tinawag sa kanya. Pero na-consider na ANSI na yung magiging name ng organization na to noong 1969. So nag-start ito yung mga 5 engineering societies and 3 government agency is nag-join together para ma-support yung mga safety standard ng business and industry sa America. So until now, it's currently existing and ang pinaka-main headquarter nila is New York City. Next slide. So why would a company choose to join ANSI and work with voluntary standards? So because membership and participations are completely voluntary. All ANSI's members have extra skin in the game, are dedicated to building their business and helping the economy. This is done through the creations of voluntary standard called American National Standard. So dito, kailangan malaking tulong yung ANSI lalo na sa mga iba't ibang organization para makapagpatupad sila ng safety standard na makakatulong para sa business nga at saka industry. Pero ang ANSI kasi, ang tungkulin ng ANSI kung bakit sila tumutulong or nagsusupport sa isang organization is para mag-set ng rules ng various methods ng standard developers use, especially sa process and yung pag-approve ng final products sa American national standard. So nakadepende pa rin, hindi rin naman basta-basta na si ANSI yung magde-decide sa organization. So parang support lang si ANSI or kukuha lang ng idea ganun kung ano yung mga pwedeng gawin. Next slide. So the importance of standards development. So we see standards at work in every part of our everyday lives. Standard get the size, shape, or capacity of product, process, or system. They lay out the performance duties of a product or personnel. A standard also defines terms, so the interpretations of the standard is clear to all using it. For example, because of the standard, all electronics and appliances can be plugged into the same type of outlets. So standards are key to a successful economy because they provide a way for consumers to evaluate a product or service standard allow companies to provide quality goods and products fairly, compete in the national and international markets. Consumers and products are safer thanks to standards. So yun nga, ang dito yung importance ng standard development. Kaya sobrang laki ng sobrang laking halaga ng sobrang laki ng halaga ng standard development sa isang organization. Tulad ng sinabi dito is para ma-evaluate ng maayos yung mga product or yung mga personnel, and also yung mga services na dapat na meron sa organization para makapag-provide sila ng quality goods and also the product para yun fairly compete nga sa national and international market. So kailangan may sinusunod silang standard para yung consumer and products are safe sa mga safe. So next slide po. So American National Standards. So this section solicits public comments in proposed draft new American National Standard, including the national adaptation of ISO and IEC standards as American National Standards, and a proposal to revise, to reaffirm, or withdraw approval of existing American National Standards. So next slide, I will be discussing yung mga naitulong ni Ansi sa isang organization. So yung mga na-revise nila, yung mga law, ganun yung mga na-set nilang bagong standard, and then yung mga na-revise nila, yung mga na-remove nila, yun, makikita natin yung collaboration ng isang ANSI sa iba't ibang organization. So please note before we proceed, ANSI Executive Standard Council, it has determined that an ASD has the right to require that interested parties submit public reviews comment electronically in accordance with the developers of procedure. So dito, actually sa PDF kasi to, so ang inaano dito is kapag nag-comment ka ng public mo is hindi siya basta-basta ma-release dyan kasi kailangan nilang i-evaluate mo na yung comment mo kung makakatulong ba talaga sa isang organization. Next. So, unang-una is API or American Petroleum Institute. So, ito, nakapag-set sila ng new standard. So, this standard is primarily for onshore facilities, but guidance for offshore application is included. So, dito, nag-set sila ng we all know na ang American Petroleum Institute is nag-specify ng requirements and give guidance ng selections ng design, specification, yung operation, and yung maintenance ng flares and related combustions and mechanical components used in pressure relieving and vapor depressurizing. So yun, ayun yung kaya nag-set sila ng new standard dito para makatulong especially sa mga petroleum related sa mga designs. So next is NSF International. So dito naman is all about this standard prescribed minimum performance and construction requirements for pressured storage tank for service and water well system. So dito may sineset na standard na gagamitin pressurized storage tank. So dito kailangan may minimum and maximum siya na pressure na dapat gagamitin. So may standard siya. So madi-discuss to for the next reporters all about mas maraming information dito. Yung mga tank volumes na nag-exceed dapat sa 120 gallons or 450 liters. So dapat alamin yung mga proper temperatures. For example, 120 Fahrenheit dapat or 49 degrees Celsius. Kailangan yun yung mga standard. Next is Professional Ropes Course Association. So ito nag-revise sila ng article dito ng safety. It's all about safety requirements sa design, manufacture, performance, constructions, inspections, maintenance, and removal from service and all applications, instructions, training, use, and operation of components, subsystem, and course utilized by the rope challenge course industry. So dito, naka-focus pa rin sila dito nga sa design, manufacture, performance ng construction ng isang high rope challenge ng mga zipline, yung mga dapat gagamitin doon, adventure course, and any climbing walls, climbing structures that are components of rope challenges course. So dito nakafocus sila sa mga rope challenges, yung mga related sa mga rope challenges challenge course. So yun nga, tulad ng mga zipline, so may mga standard na gagamitin dyan, may mga lubid na gagamitin, sukat, and etc. So yung mga tulong ni Ansi. Next is PRCA or Portable Sanitation Association International. It is all about naman on hand wash station requirements and disposal of water, wastewater where needed. So yun, nakafocus naman tong article na to. Actually, new standard siya. And nakafocus siya sa hand wash station, yung mga proper hand wash station na gagamitin, especially sa mga disposable water na kinakailangan sa isang place or sa isang industry. Next. So next slide. Yan, underwriters laboratory corporations. So it is all allowed the use of cord connections for so dito sa nang-revise nila is all about wiring materials. So yan, naka-focus sila sa isang cord connections for an attic fan. So yun, may mga standard na dapat gamitin dyan kapag especially sa mga attic fan, may ginawa sila ng mga proper sizes or proper voltages na dapat. So yun, madidiscuss yan sa next sa grupo ko for more information regarding dyan. So nakalagay dyan yung mga proposed change, yung mga temperature ng isang nickel coated copper. Yan, nakalagay sa isang table dyan yung mga standard. Next. So next is Association for the Advancement of Medical Instrumentation. So dito naman, this is part of ISO 10993, nag-specifies requirements and gives guidance on procedures to be followed in the evaluations of the potential for medical device materials to cause adverse systemic reaction. So dito, nakafocus naman sila sa isang medical device materials na dapat may mga proper procedure dyan, yung mga guidance na dapat gawin kasi alam naman natin na sobrang sensitive na mga medical device na dapat na gagamitin. So dapat may mga proper guidance and procedure kung gagawin natin ito. So nakapalab sa article na yun yung mga dapat gawin. Next is ASABE or American Society Agricultural and Biological Engineers. So ito is a new national adoption. So it specified the type of information on safe working practices to be provided by manufacturers. So dito, nakapaloob sa isang article na to yung mga ito yung specify the type of information on safe working. Yun nga, sorry. So specify the type of information safe working process to be provided by the manufacturer. So ito, nag-specify siya sa ang article na to is nakapaloob siya sa safe working practices na pinrovide ng mismong manufacturer. So yung mga standard dito, yung mga dapat gawin. So yun, nakapaloob sa article na to. Next is new national adoption nito, which is ito part 1. Ito is maraming part kasi to, pero since new national adoption is niwalay-walay nila. So the part 1 is all about rotary mowers. It contains specifications and acceptance criteria for thrown object testing of rotary mowers used in agriculture. So dito, nakapaloob sa article na to is yung mga proper or yun nga yung mga guidelines na dapat gawin, especially sa rotary mowers. So yung mga machine design na gagamitin, yung mga para sa highway and road maintenance only. So doon, once na mabasa mo yung article na to, sobrang makakatulong yan, especially kung kung related yung work mo dyan. So mga vertical axis na design for mulching, yan, nakapaloob yan doon. Mga dapat gamitin yung mga standard na gagamitin. Next. So next is ito naman is yung yun nga katulad niyan verification. So to is yung safety standard large grow flame mowers or new standard safety requirements and verification for design and construction of pro craft flame mowers with a cutting with larger than 3 meter use and exclusively agricultural row crop applications which have a rare part that can be often for particular field use operation. So ito, magdi-describe sa method na to is eliminations or reduction ng isang hazard arising from intended use. So, naka-specify dito yung mga safe working practices ulit, pero it's all about flame mowers naman. Mga safety practices na dapat gawin sa flame mowers that use in agriculture. So, yun, for example nga, yung mga katulad niyan is same, same, same objective na all about road maintenance and highways, pero iba naman yung gagamitin. Yun, yung sa part 1 is rotary mowers, at pangalawa naman isa flame mowers. So, yun, malaking tulong to kapag nabasa yung article dito. And next is, yan, ASHRAE or American Society of Heating, Refrigerating, and Air Condition. So ito is addenda. Ito naman is addenda is to eliminate scope overlap between 90.1 and 90.4. So this addendum will not be published until 90.4 has been approved by ASHRAE Board of Directors and there are no pending appeals. So dito sa addenda is still pending pa rin. So nakabit yung eliminate scope kailangan nag-overlap lang siya between 90.1 to 90.4. So, kapag hindi pa na-publish until 90.4, hindi pa siya approved. So, nakadepende pa rin siya. So, kailangan natin ma-meet yung standard na 90.4 para sa low-rise para sa energy standard for buildings, except yun, low-rise residential buildings. So, next. So, ito new standard. Balik mo nga. Yeah, new standard. So ito naman this propose of this standard sako pa rin siya ng ASHRAE kaso new standard naman. So ibig sabihin ng new standard is bago publish siya na article. So the purpose of this standard is to establish minimum energy efficiency requirements of the data center. So makikita mo to sa wala kasi kaming copy nitong mismong article ko. Pero yung mga makita mo dyan, yung mga minimum energy na efficiency na ginagamit sa data center. So, once na yan, makikita mo yung sa section 6.3 or section 11, alternative compliance method, and yung table sa section 8, electrical, makikita nyo dyan yung mga minimum energy na gagamitin para malaman natin efficiency requirements para sa isang data center. So, yun guys, continuation, nag-cut yung video kanina. So, kasi di na kailangan ng storage. The next is ASME or American Society of Mechanical Engineers. Okay, so this revision siya. So, it's all about refrigeration, piping, and heat transfer components. So, rules for this code sections have been developed considering the needs for applications that include the needs for applications that includes piping and heat transfer components for refrigerants and secondary coolants. So this code prescribes the requirements for the materials design, fabrication, assembly, erection, tests, and inspections of refrigerant heat transfer components and secondary coolant piping for temperature as low as 320 degree Fahrenheit or 196 degrees Celsius whether erected on the premises or factory assembled. Sorry. So this article is revision so it's all about codes requirements especially sa material design, fabrication, heat transfer components and yung secondary coolant piping ng temperature para sa refrigeration piping and heat transfer. Next is ASSE or American Society of Safety Engineer. So it is all about this reaffirmation is emergency procedures for constructions and demolition site. So this next. So this standard applies to those emergency procedures involving unized fire collapse, hazardous spills, and other emergency that could endanger workers, emergency rescue or of injured or ill workers of other reasons, or of uninjured workers unable to rescue themselves. So next is on-site provisions of first aid and emergency medical care. Then four is evacuation and transportations of injured or ill workers to appropriate emergency medical facilities. And five is for the pre-planning and coordinations of emergency plan with emergency medical facilities. And six is training on emergency procedures plans for workers and other groups. So this reformation is all about applies to those emergency procedures. So yun nga yung mga pre-planning during evacuation, before and after evacuation. So kapag may mga injured person, mga ill workers or yung mga injured workers, so ayun, makapalog dito yung mga proper or mga standard or guideline na dapat gawin. Mga dapat gawin, mga basic step. Next is ASSE, American, again, it's all about American Society of Safety Engineer. So there is all about safety requirements for climbing, ladder fall, or a system new standard. So this standard establish requirements for the performance, design, marking, qualification, testing, instruction for use, inspection, maintenance, and storage and removal from service of vertically oriented climbing ladder pole RS system consisting of flexible and rigid carriers with multiple attachment points and associated carrier sleeve for users within the capacity range of 130 to 310 pounds or 59 to 141 kilograms. So this is all about this new standard is all about requirements for climbing ladder for our system. So dito, nalalaman na dito nakapalab dito yung mga standard ulit, yung mga proper guidelines or mga dapat nating gamitin na dapat may capacity range lang yung bigat which is 130 to 310 pounds or kapag kinonvert sa kilogram, 59 to 141 kilograms. So yan yung dapat yung standard o yung dapat gamitin natin para alam nating safety yung may establish nating mga design or yung ayun sa mga service vertical sa mga climbing ladder fall. Next is American Society of Mechanical Engineers, so revision. It's all about refrigeration piping and heat transfer components again. So rules for these code sections have been developed considering the needs of applications that include piping and heat transfer components for refrigerants and secondary piping and heat transfer. So dito naman yung this code prescribe is the requirements for the materials design, fabrications, assembly, correction, test, and inspections of refrigerant heat transfer components and secondary coolant piping for temperature so as low as 320 degree Fahrenheit to 196 degrees Celsius. So, ayun, katulad lang din kanina, yung mga requirements para sa isang refrigeration piping. So, dapat i-consider natin yung materials na gamitin, yung design, yung erection, yung mga assembly, yung mga test, trial and error natin para consider. Siyempre, yung temperature, which is dapat naglo-low siya na 320 degree Fahrenheit or as low as 196 degrees Celsius when you convert it into degrees Celsius. Next is ASSE, American Society of Safety Engineers. It is all about emergency procedures for constructions and demolition sites. So yun, katulad din kanina, it is all about during before um, what you call that. So before the emergency, during emergency, after emergency, during construction and demolition sites. So yung mga dapat gawin. So nakapaloob din dyan yung mga proper or mga standard na dapat gawin. Next is American Society Safety Engineers. So is a new standard again. So safety requirements for climbing ladder fall arrest. So the standard established requirements so for the performance, design, making, and qualification testing instruction for use, yung inspection, yung maintenance, storage na gagamitin, and removal from service of vertically oriented climbing ladder fall or a system consisting of flexible and rigid carriers with multiple attachment points and associated carrier sleeves per user within the capacity of range of 130 to 310 pounds or 59 to 141 kilogram. So dito, nakapaluliti qualification nga ulit ng design, yung storage, yung design, yung marking na gagamitin, yung qualification, syempre, tsaka yung capacity range ulit ng carrier. So dapat ano to sa lumalaro to sa 130 to 310 pounds. Or pag kinumpert ulit sa kilogram is 49 to 141 kilogram. And then next is American Safety Engineers. So safety requirements for anchorage connectors, Uh, safety requirements for anchorage connectors for active fall protection system. So, new standard to. So, this standard is specified requirements sa performance, design, testing, marking, and instructions for use of anchorage connectors in travel restraint, fall arrest, rescue, positioning, rope access, and suspended component tieback line system only. So dito, nakapalog dito sa new standard na to is yung safety requirements ng anchorage connector. So, dapat alamin natin yung design ulit, yung testing, dapat may mga standard tayong gagamitin ulit. So, yung mga anchorage connectors na yung nakikita natin sa travel restraint, fall arrest, rescue, yung mga rope access, and suspended component. So, dapat alam natin yung mga dapat gawin dyan, yung mga proper tools or mga proper materials na gagawin para mas tumibay siya. Next is ASTM International. Yun. So, this test method for bulk density of as manufacturers, carbon and graphite shapes. So, yun. Dito nakapalog yung mga yung mga tinetest method. So, nakalagay sa table na yan, yung mga article na yan. Next is terminology for personal credentialing. So, ito, nakapalog yung mga meaning. Wait lang. Ayan. Balik mo nga. Yan. So, terminology for personal credentialing revisions of Ansi, ASTM. Yun. Nakapalog dyan yung mga terminology, yung mga definition, mga terms, na mga word na unfamiliar tayo. Diyan, nakapalog dyan sa article. So, next is, yan, ECIA or Electronic Components Industry Association. So, new standard specification for small form factor, 88.9 mm, 3.5 inches. So, this drive new standard. So, this standard defines the dimensions and interconnections of 88.9 millimeter or 3.5 inch small form factor disk drive. So the purpose of this standard is to define the external characteristic of small form factor disk drive so that the products from different vendors may be used in the same mounting configuration. So the standard provides a specification on external dimensions, connector placement, mounting holes, and interface pinouts to assist manufacturers in the system integrations of small form factor disk drive. So this new standard, ginawa nila to is yung, ang purpose nito is para ma-define yung external characteristic ng disk drive, yung small form nito. So yun, nakapaloob dyan. Next is reformation. So it is all about cable flexing test procedure for electrical connectors. So these standards establish a method to determine the effectiveness of round jacked cable relief steels or interface to withstand strain under repeated alternating cable flexing stress as experienced in use with molded or mechanical backshell. So cable strain relief designs commonly used with electrical connectors. So dito, follow dito yung effectiveness ng isang jacked cable, yung mga connector strain na ginagamit, or yung mga flat cable, especially yung mga, yun, makikita natin yung gaano ka-effective yung isang flat cable connector. So, syempre, yung design dapat hindi basta-basta. So, dapat pag gumawa tayo ng flat cable, make sure na yung design is pasok sa standard, yung mga materials na gagamitin and approve siya bago natin gamitin yung mga electrical connectors. Next is yeah, nitric nitric acid vapor test. So, gold, hindi, ito pala muna. Yan, resistance test procedure for electrical connectors. So, yon is reaffirmation of Ansi or EIA. So, this standard established test methods to determine the ability of mated electrical connectors to resist the effects of ice build-up due to water splashing or brief immersions in water, where water is free to drain off of the connector surface. So, dito naman, sa ano na standard na to is para ma-determine yung ability ng isang mated electrical na connect to resist the effects of ice build up due to water. So yung meron kasing nagdi-drain where yung tubig natin is feel free to drain off yung connected surfaces. So dito yung automatic siya na yung mga tubig na nakapalibot is madidrain siya. So dapat doon is yun, para makita yung ability ng isang mated electrical. Para maano yung mga water surfaces, yung mga sa connected surfaces. So next is nitric, yan, nitric acid vapor test. So gold finish test procedure for electrical connectors and sockets. So these standards establish test methods to determine the magnitude of porosity as well as outer surface defects inherent in applications of gold contact finishes. So dito naman is all about nitric acid vapor test. So para ma-determine yung magnitude of porosity, ma-establish natin yung test method and also ma-determine natin yung magnitude ng porosity sa mga ayun, sa mga application ng gold contact finishes. So next slide po. Yeah, formation. So dito naman is all about temperature life with mechanical loading for connectors with removable contacts. So static mechanical load at temperature. So test procedure for electrical connectors. Reaffirmation of ANSI or EIA. So this standard established test methods to determine the ability of the contact retention system in an electrical connectors with removable contacts to withstand a static mechanical load at elevated temperature. So dito naman, isa siyang test method para ma-determine na may ability ng contact ng isang retention system sa isang electrical connector. So next is yun, residual magnetism test procedure for electrical connectors. So contact and sockets formation. So This standard established a test method to determine the residual magnetism of a connector after exposure to a specified magnetic field. So dito naman test method siya para ma-determine naman yung residual magnetism. So kung sa una na ano natin, una kong binasa is ability naman ng retention system sa isang electrical connector. Dito naman is yung residual magnetism ng isang connector kapag na-expose siya sa magnetic field. Next. Ano ba next yan? Ayan, drug test procedure. Yan. So next is drug test procedure for electrical connectors and sockets. This standard establishes a method to determine the susceptibility of an electrical connector or socket system to the potential degradations of mechanism of a dust fiber environment common to an office or manufacturing area. So dito naman is ma-determine natin yung susceptibility ng isang electrical connector or ng socket system para sa mga sa potential degradation ng isang fiber environment na common makikita sa manufacturing area or sa office area. So next is reformation plated through hole integrity test procedure for electrical connectors. So yon this test method is applies to compliant pins inserted in printed circuit boards with plate through hole. So dito naman isang test method din siya para ma-apply yung mga compliant pins na naka-insert sa isang printed circuit boards. So yun, dahil makakatulong. So yan, next mo, yan. Ito naman is sa reformation. So loop inductance measurement test procedure for electrical connectors. So 1 NH to 10 NH. So reformations of Ansi. So this procedures applies to interconnect assemblies such as electrical connectors and sockets. So dito naman sa reformation na to is loop inductance measurement test. So yung procedure na to is naka-apply siya sa interconnects assemblies na yung which is yung electrical connector tsaka yung socket. So yan, nakapaloob dyan yung mga electrical connectors, mga standard na dapat gamitin. Next is reformation. So contact resistance and current rating of parallel circuits test procedure for electrical connectors. So contacts and sockets, reformations of ANSI, AA. So this procedure applies to connectors and sockets when multiple circuits are electrically connected in a parallel configurations and there is a need to determine the expected parallel resistance or current rating. So dito naman sa reformation na to is ma-determine yung expected parallel resistance or yung current rating. So yun lang yun. So yung article na to nakalb dito para makita natin yung ano ba yung expect na parallel resistance or current rating sa isang contact resistance and current rating of parallel circuit test procedure. So next is reformation is corrosivity of contact test procedures for electrical connectors and socket. So it's reformation of ANSI again. So this test procedure naman to establish a test method to determine whether corrosion product as a result of residual corrosive elements may be created on contact surface. So said products may be result of improper cleaning or lack theory, lack thereof, improper process, interrupt, participate, etc. So dito, naka-determine naman yung corrosion products natin as a result ng residual corrosive element. So, yung ano yung result ng residual corrosive, doon natin ma-determine yung isang corrosion products. So, yun yung nakalagay sa formation. Next is revision. So, environmental test methodology for verifying the current rating of freestanding power contacts for electrical connectors and sockets. So, Yun nga. So this standard is described the recommend test sequences for verifying the specified current rating of freestanding contacts or electrical connectors and socket used in power applications. So this sequence may be used to qualify products with a specified current rating. So dito sa revision na to is naka-focus na sila sa mga recommended test sequence para sa pag-verify ng current rating na current rating of freestanding contacts or yung mga electrical connector or socket use na gamit sa isang power application. So yun nga, naka nakapaloob lang 'to sa isang electrical connectors na nagamit sa isang power application, yung mga specified current rating. So next is revision, pa-next na. Yan. So specification for small form factor, 63.5 millimeters or 2.5 inches this drive. So revision na to and redesignations of Ansi. So this standard defines the dimensions and connectors locations of 63.5 millimeters, 2.5 inch, so small form factor this drive. So the purpose of this standard is to define the external characteristic of small form factor disk drive so that the products from different vendors may be used in same mounting configuration. So these standards provide specification on external dimensions, connector, and yung connector placement, mounting holes to assist manufacturers in the system, integration of small form factor disk drive. So dito, sa revised na revision na to na ginawa ng ANSI, nagpo-provide sila ng specification your external dimensions connectors. Yung mga connector placement, yung mounting holes, para ma-assist yung isang manufacturer system application para yung sa integration ng small form factor disk drive. So yun, nakafocus ka sila dito sa dimension ng mga locations also ng mga connectors. So yun. Next is the next one. Yan. Balik next yan. IS na Illuminating Engineering Society of North America. So, lighting for hospital and healthcare providers, informations of ANSI. So, this practice offers guidelines for good lighting in those areas unique to healthcare facilities and is intended for both lighting designers and healthcare professionals. So, lighting needs is specific to acute care hospital, chronic care hospitals, then extended care facilities, and related facilities, the freestanding ambulatory surgical centers and emergency center. So dito, itong information na to is naka-focus sa good lighting and especially sa mga healthcare facilities. So dito yung mga standard na gagamitin para sa mga magandang pailaw, para siyempre healthcare facilities, alam naman natin yan. And healthcare professional, alam natin 24 hours yung ilaw na ginagamit ko. So, syempre, dapat alam natin yung standard na dapat. So, next is NEMA, which is National Electrical Manufacturers Association. So, it's all about magnet wire revision ulit siya and the designations of ANSI again with NEMA. So, yon. So, yon, represent consist and convenient form all existing NEMA standards for round, rectangular, or square field, insulated, and or fibrous covered copper and aluminum magnet wire for using electrical apparatus. So included are the definitions and the type, designations, dimensions, and constructions, and new performance and test methods for magnet wire. Generally, using winding of coils for electrical apparatus. So dito, sa revise na ginawa nila ng ANSI and NEMA is include na dito yung definition, yung type ng designations, yung dimension, yung construction, yung mga test methods na gagamitin for magnet wire. Generally, sa mga na-use sa winding coils for electrical apparatus. Next po. So, NFSI or National Floor Safety Institute. So, dito naman is new standard. So, test method for determining the impact on wet coefficients of frictions of various chemical or physical walkway surface cleaners and treatments on common hard surface flooring materials. So, this TED methods measures the change in dynamic coefficients of frictions or DCOF and static coefficients of friction or SCOF or SCOF. As a result of applying in a chemical for cleaning agent or treatment onto a hard walkway surface under wet condition. So these standards shall only be used in a laboratory or other control area and it not suited for in situ use. So dito sa standard na ginawa ng Ansi, um, para matest natin yung change ng isang, yun nga, yung dynamic coefficient ng DCOF and ng SOF. So, in-apply yung mga chemical floor cleaning or mga treatment sa mga sa mga surface wet condition. So, itong standard na to, hindi siya applicable sa lahat ng lugar, sa lahat ng place, or sa lahat ng office area. So, ito it's all under control ng isang area. So, the best example dito is ang laboratory. Next po. Yan. Standard guide, wag pala. Yan. Standard guide for the floor safety management. So, it's all about program for sleep, trip, and fall prevention. So, new standard to. So, this standard set forth criteria to assist organizations in their efforts to establish a floor safety management program, including the roles and the responsibility of management, supervisory, and operational levels, using accepted best practice to prevent, mitigate the risk of slip, trips, falls, and walkways. So dito, sa bagong standard na to is para guide sa floor safety management. So para ma-prevent yung mga fall, pagkadulas, or etc. na nagkakos ng accident. Ngayon, ang may mga once na may mga ganitong area na may mga nadulas or may mga ganun, ang may responsibility nito is yung mga management or yung supervisory or operational level. So, sila yung may responsibility dito. So, dapat sila, alam nila yung mga ganyan. So, dapat ina-aware nila yung mga workers nila or yung mga employee na magbigay ng signage. So, kapag alam nilang dapat ina-aware nila yung mga facilities. Especially kung nagmamap sila, kung alam nilang may mga wet area, pwede sila maglagay ng mga warning signs para yung mga tao ma-avoid yun or ma-prevent na makukos ang isang accident. Kasi once na may mangyaring accident, sagot nga na responsibility yun ng mga management. So next is NSF or NSF International. So the purpose of this standard, so it is all first this revised na rin to, so drinking water treatment units naman. So the purpose of this standard is to establish minimum requirements for materials, designs, constructions, performance of drinking water treatment system that are designed to reduce emerging compounds in public or private water supplies such as paramecical, personal care products, and endocrine disrupting compounds. So dito naman sa standard na to is para makapag-establish ng isang minimum requirements ng isang material design ng isang drinking water treatment system na nakaka-design to para ma-reduce yung emerging compounds, especially sa mga public or water supplies tulad ng mga paramedical, personal care products, and endocrine disrupting compounds. So, alam naman natin na sobrang sensitive ng mga area na yan. So, dapat pati yung tubig is maano natin yung standard.
or ma-meet natin yung mga minimum requirements, especially sa mga design. Kasi once na pumalya na yan, malaking epekto. Especially kasi yun nga, may mga sensitive place na dapat, ultimo pati tubig dapat may standard. Ganun. Next is Underwriter Laboratories Incorporation. So ito, marami itong part pero ito yung pinaka main focus dito is yung part 5 sa Standard for Safety for Explosive Atmosphere. So part 5 Equipment Protections by Powder Filing. So proposed date it was January 29, 2016. So identical and national adoptions of IEC 60079-5 and the revision of Ansi and nirevise siya ni Ansi and also ni Underwriters Laboratories Incorporation. So naging 60079-5 2009 or R 2013. So this proposal includes the new fourth editions of the Standard for Safety Explosive Atmosphere. So dito, sa standard na to, sa nirevise nila is para sa mga explosive atmosphere, yung mga protection especially for the equipment by powder filing. So ayun, nakalagay dyan yung mga dapat gamitin, yung mga standard, yung mga requirements na dapat alamin. Especially for equipment protection. Siyempre, pag mga explosive atmosphere, kapag alam mong sobrang dangerous ng lugar, yung konting bagay lang is kung pwede mag-explode o yung isang bagay pwede mag-explode. So, dapat aware tayo dyan, yung mga standard things na gawin tayo natin para yung mga materials na meron tayo is hindi rin siya basta-basta and meet yung standard. So, pwede siyang maiwasan na mag-explode. Next is Standard for Safety Explosive Atmosphere. Yan, dito naman yung part 6, equipment protection by liquid immersion naman. Kung sa una is by powder filing, ito naman is by liquid immersion. So, identical national adoptions of IEC 60079, revision ng ANSI ulit with collaborations of Underwriter Laboratories Incorporations or UL. Yan, nakapalagay naman ito yung mga equipment protections sa liquid immersions naman. Ito yung mga liquid. So, especially yung may mga hazardous chemicals, yan. Yung mga ganyan. So, dapat alam natin yung mga standard, yung mga dapat gamitin kung saan sila nakalagay para maiwasan yung mabilis na pagkalat ng fire o yung mabilis na pag-explode. So, kapag alam mo ng explosive materials yun or hazardous, ilayo, syempre, keep reach out, ilayo mo siya. Ganun. So, mga mabilis maawa, yung yung mga good conductor. Dapat nakatago mo siya. Especially kapag mga liquid. So, next is next. Standard for flexible connector piping for fuels. So, new standard siya. So, the first edition of the standard is being proposed and covers primary, secondary, and coaxial types of flexibles connector pipes intended for short length transfer and containment of the specific liquid fuels or vapors thereof identified in the standard at commercial, public, or fleet, private automotive motor vehicle fueling fueling stations. So yon, standard dito sa mga flexible connector pipings for fuel. So ito, ngayon, since fuel siya, alam natin yung fueling station. So may mga standard to, hindi siya basta-basta na mga gagamitin yung mga pipe na gagamitin. No, may standard dito na dapat gamitin. Nakapolove sa article na to para mas makatulong siya sa sa safety na syempre ng isang area. So, maybe public pa yan or state or yon. Yan, dapat sundin natin yung mga standard pipes material o yung mga connector. So, hindi siya basta-basta na connector, hindi siya basta-basta pipe. So, yun, pag binasa mo itong article na to, makakatulong. Next is BC or the Vision Council. Okay, so light hazard protections for ophthalmic instruments. So, this standard C80 and 36 specify fundamental requirements for optical radiation safety for ophthalmic instrument and is applicable to all current ophthalmic instruments that direct optical radiations into or are of the eye. So it's also applicable to all new and emerging ophthalmic instruments that direct optical radiations into or at the eye, as well as those portions of therapeutic surgical system that direct optical radiations into or at the eye of diagnostic illuminations, measurements, imaging, or alignment purposes. So ito, the Vision Council. So the word itself, vision, is all about in our eyes. So gumawa ulit sila ng standard dito para sa mga related sa mata. Kasi alam naman natin kapag nasa laboratory tayo, kapag nasa manufacturer area, or nasa planta or nasa work area tayo, so may mga hazardous doon na pwedeng ikasira ng mata natin. So ito, gumawa sila ng standard para alam yung mga gamitin natin para maiwasan yung mga, especially yung mga radiation, yung mga laser, ma-prevent natin. Yan. Next is window covering manufacturers or association. Yan. So, yun, revision na siya. So, the standard applies to all interior corded window covering products. So, the item covered by include the product listed in 1.2 when used in all reasonably foreseeable environments where young children are present. Subclause 1.2 window covering products covered includes but is not limited to cellular shades, horizontal blinds, pleated shades, roll-up style blind, roller shades, Roman style shades, rubber roads, and vertical blinds. So this product can be manufactured and distributed as either stock or custom product. So dito naman yung standard na to, it all applies to all interior corded window, yung mga pang covering products such as yung mga shades. So kanina di ba sa Vision Council yung mga equipment na gagamitin. Dito naman yung sa window. Hindi lang siya sa stage, pati sa mga window na gagamitin. So, yun, para hindi basta-basta, hindi kasi siya pwedeng gamitin na, ano yun, ordinary window. Siyempre, kapag mga laboratory area, work area, may specific window sila. Hindi siya katulad sa bahay. So, yung window na yon may sariling specification, may sariling characteristic, and yung durability ng isang window. Yon, so hindi siya yung basta-basta. So may mga standard materials din yung mga ginamit. So hindi siya basta-basta na Windows lang para yun. Makapal siya, sobrang kapal siya. Hindi siya mababasagin agad, hindi siya basta-basta nababasag. So, may mga materials na ginagamit. Makikita mo yan kapag nabasa mo yung article na yan. Next is American Nuclear Society, selection and training of personnel for research reactors. So this standard set the qualification, training, and certification criteria for operations personnel at research reactors and establish the elements of program for periodic requalification and recertifications. So the standard is predicted on levels of responsibility rather than on a particular organizational concept. So dito sa American Nuclear Society, yung standard nito is to set the qualification and training and certification criteria ng isang operation personnel. So dito is predicted na yung mga levels ng responsibility rather than particular organizational concept. So yun nga, kung ano yung position mo, nakadepende rin yun sa level ng responsibility mo. So hindi siya sa particular organizational concept ng buong organization. No. Ibig sabihin nito per level. So from the small to the big. So from the employee to the operational to the boss. So may kanya-kanya levels ng responsibility dito na dapat ina-acknowledge natin and binibigyan natin ng kahalagaan. Siyempre, sobrang laking tulong nun once na ano nila yon, mm, na-meet nila yung mga responsibility na dapat nilang gawin, fulfill nila. So, yun. May mga criteria din dyan na para masabi natin na deserve ba ng isang ganon, ng isang certification or background. Next is American Society of Mechanical Engineers. So, this standards covers the complete general, dimensional, and performance requirements for the various type of slotted and reset head metric tape topping screws recognized as the standard. So also included next nga. Yeah. Also included are appendices that provide specifications and instructions for protrusions, gauging of flat countersunk head screws across corners, gauging of hex head screws, and penetration of gauging of reset head screws. The appendices in this standard provides clearance hole size and approximates installation hole size recommendation. So dito, sa American Society of Mechanical Engineers, isa siyang withdrawal. So dito is nakapaloob dito yung approximate installation hole size recommendation. So pati pala yung mga hole dapat sinusunod yan. So may proper standard dyan kung gaano kalaki dapat yung mga hole size na gagamitin. Next is another withdrawal which is metric machine screws. Withdrawal of Ansi and ASME. So is ASME is American Society of Mechanical Engineer. So the standard covers the complete general and dimensional data for metric flat counterstank, oval, counterstank, and band, slotted and said head machines, a screw, and metric hex and hex flange head machines, screws recognized as a standard. So ayun, dito is nakapalob siya sa standard na to is complete yung general dimension and also the dimensional data or metric flux ng isang oval counter stock. Yun. And yun, so especially sa metric heads and flex range and flex hex flange head machine screws recognized as a standard. So yun, pag nabasa mo yan, makikita mo yung mga standard withdrawal, yung mga tinanggal nila doon. May mga pinalitan sila or may mga dinagdag. Next is, next nga. Yan. Next is ITI or International Committee for Information Technology Standard. So it is all about information technology. So programming language, C++. So this standard specifies the requirements for implementation of the C++ programming language. So the first such requirement is that they implement the language, and so this international standard also defines C++. So other requirements and relaxation on the first requirements appears at various places within this international standard. So dito, new national adoptions. So, ibig sabihin nito, ini-implement nila yung, siyempre may mga programming tayo, ini-implement nila yung gamitin natin language sa programming is yung C++, since ito yung international standard na dapat gamitin. So, next po, yan, information. The SCI family of standards provides for different transport protocols that define methods for exchanging information between SCI's devices. Next nga to. Yan. So this standard defines the queuing layer used by SOP or so. Other SCSI transport protocols standard define the methods for exchanging informations between SCSI devices using other interconnects. So dito, nakadefines dito sa new standard na to is yung transport method for exchanging information between SCSI and between SCSI device using a PCI Express interconnect. So yun, nakadepende sa dinedefine ito yung transport method sa exchanging information between SCSI device and PCI Express interconnect. Yun, so next new standard, dyan lang yan dito. Yan, so the set of 80 attachment standards consists of this standard and the 80A implementation standard describing 80 attachment. So this standard specifies the command set that host system use to access storage device that implement the host aware zones features used to access storage device. The feature set which is makita sa 4.3 and as the host managed zone features or sa 3.4.4. So this standard provides a common set of for system manufacturers, system integrators, software suppliers, and suppliers of storage device that provide one of the zone feature set. So dito sa standard nito is provide a common command set for system manufacturers. Yung mga system integrators, yung mga software suppliers, and supplier storage na device na magpo-provide sa atin. Yan, mga standard dyan. Next po. So next is Underwriter Laboratories Incorporation. So new national adoption. So part 1 lang yung inanong dito. New national adoption. This is general requirements. Identical national adoptions of IEC 60730-1 and revision of ANSI UL 60730 and 1. So 2013A, adopt the 5th editions of IEC. So dito, nakapalog dito sa article na to yung part 1, yung mga general requirements, especially sa mga identical national, mga general requirements, mga standard. So, yun. Kapag gusto mo ng more information and madidiscuss to ng mga next group about more info about sa part 1 na po. And that would be all. So, against is Romeo G. Mados Jr. So, my next member, I mean the next group na, I mean next member na magdi-discuss all about ANSI. So, that will be all. Thank you so much for listening. Post mo.
Game na. So, next reporter, andyan Repatacodo. So, final actions on American National Standards. ASABE or American Society of Agricultural and Biological Engineers. ANSI or ASABE S600 to 2011 or 2016. Manually handled collapsible reusable plastic containers for handling of fruits and vegetables. So, itong standards na to, nagpo-provide siya ng uniform design and performance specifications for a manually handled collapsible reusable plastic container for handling fresh horticultural produce during for post-harvest processing, storage, and transportation. Next is the ANSI or ASAE S338.5 May 2000. Babalik ako. So, next natin is BSR or AWWAC 800-201X, Underground Service Line Bulbs and PT. So, the purpose of this standard is to provide the uh, minimum requirements for underground service line bulbs and PTs, including the materials, design, inspection, and delivery. So, itong ano naman na to, uh, tapos muna saglit. So, ESR or AWWA CE800-201X, Underground Service Line Bulbs and CT. The purpose of this standard is to provide the minimum requirements for underground service line bulbs and fittings, including the materials, design, inspection, and delivery. So, this standard covers bulbs, fittings, service saddles, and meter setters for use in a service line from the main to the meter bulb or meter setting of for tenant. So next natin is BSR or AWWA C150 A21.50-201X, thickness design of ductile iron pipe. The purpose of this standard is to provide the minimum requirements for the thickness design of ductile iron pipe, including basics of design and design procedure. So, ito namang standard na to, dinidescribe niyo yung thickness design of ductile iron pipe, complying with the requirements of Ansi or AWWA C151 A21.51, ductile iron pipe, centrifugal centrifugally cast. Next is BSR or AWWA G300-201X, source water protection. So the purpose of this standard is to define the minimum program requirements for the protection of source water. So, itong standard naman na ito din describe yung essential elements for the effective protections of source water. Next. So, BSR or AWWAG 430-201X, security practices for operation and management. The purpose of this standard is to define the minimum requirements for a protective security program for a water, wastewater, or reuse utility that will promote the protection of employee safety, public health, public safety, and public confidence. So, itong standard naman na ito, kino-cover niya yung minimum requirements for a protective security program for a water, wastewater, or reuse utility. So, next natin is BSR or AWWA G481-201X, Reclaim Water Program Operation and Management. So, the purpose of this standard is to define the critical requirements for the effective operation and management of a reclaimed water program. So, itong standard naman na to, dinidescribe yung critical requirements for the effective operation and management of a required reclaimed water program. Reclaimed water for the purposes of this standard is treated domestic wastewater that is at all times adequately and reliably treated to the level of appropriate for the end user. Next po. FM approvals. BSR or FM 6086-201X, storage containers for intermediate book containers. So to reduce the fire hazard created by ignitional liquids contained in plastic or composite intermediate book containers or IBCs that are being used in manufacturing or storage occupancies by significantly limiting the full size that can potentially be created. So, ito namang standard naman na to, ini-aim niya yung systems and devices that will directly reduce the fire hazard created by the ignitable liquids contained dun sa plastic or composite intermediate book containers or IBCs that are being used in manufacturing or storage occupancies by significantly limiting the full fire that can potentially be created. So yung plastic and composite IBCs can be prone to failure by being punctured by forklifts and other devices. So next natin is NETA or International Electrical Testing Association. BSR or NETA, BSR or NETA, ATS-201X. Ansi or NETA standard for acceptance testing specifications for current current industry standards, best practices, and technologies. So uh, it is intent of this law to assure that the all tested electrical equipment and systems supplied by the either contractor or owner are operational and within applicable standards and manufacturers tolerances, and that equipment and systems are installed in accordance with the design specifications. Next po. American national standards maintained under continuous maintenance. The ANSI essential requirements, due process requirements for American national standards provides two options for the maintenance of American national standards, periodic maintenance and continuous maintenance. So, ito yung mga ANSI accredited standards developers have formally registered standards under the continuous maintenance options. So, meron dito yung AAMI or Association for the Advancement of Medical Instrumentation. Meron dito yung AAMVA or American Association of Motor Vehicle Administrators. AGA for American Gas Association. AGSC for Autogas Safety Council. ASC X9 Accredited Standards Committee X9 Incorporated. ASHRAE or American Society of Heating, Refrigerating, and Air Conditioning Engineers. ASME or American Society of Mechanical Engineers. ASTM or ASTM International. GBI or the Green Building Initiative. Next po. EEIA or Green Guard Environmental Institute. HL7 or yung Health Level 7. IESNA or the Illuminating Engineering Society of North America. MHI or ASC MH10 Material Handling Industry. NAH BRC or yung Research Center. NBBPBI or National Board of Boiler and Pressure Vessel Inspectors. NCPDP or National Council for Prescription Drug Programs. NISO or National Information Standards Organization. NSF or NSF International. PRCA or Professional Road Sports Association. ResNet or Residential Energy Services Network. TIA or Telecommunications Industry Association. UL or Underwriters Laboratories Incorporated. Next po. ISO and IEC Draft International Standards. ISO standards. Additive manufacturing. So, additive manufacturing standard specification for material extrusion based additive manufacturing of plastic materials. So it is an inherent part of the product development process used to manufacture prototypes, tools, and uh, products parts, production parts. So in comparison to conventional methods where parts are molded in specified forms or cut from a massive block, AM bases on the principle that liquids, powders, sand, and films are layered to build 3D structures without the use of a mold. Availability of international standards is urgently necessary to promote a widespread use of the process and to regulate evaluation of existing products. So next natin is agricultural food products. So microbiology of the food chain. Horizontal method for the detection of potential enteropathogenic vibrio para Parahamolyticus, Vibrio cholerae, and Vibrio pulmiticus. Standardification in the field of human and animal foodstuffs, covering the food chain from primary production to consumption. So, as well as the animal and vegetable propagation material, in particular but not limited to terminology, sampling methods of test and analysis, product specifications, food and feed safety and quality management and requirements for packaging, storage, and transportation. So next po. Air quality. So stationary source emissions determination of the biogenic fraction in CO2 in stock gas using the balance method. So ito naman, measurement planning procedures for quality assurance or quality control or QA or QC, and methods for the evaluation of results including determination of uncertainty excluded, uh, yung establishment of limit values for air pollutants, the air quality in clean rooms, radioactive substances. So next up then yung aircraft and space vehicles. Space systems, experience gain in space projects, principles and guidelines. So dito naman, standardization of materials, components, and equipment for construction and operation of aircraft and space vehicles as well as equipment used in the servicing and maintenance of these vehicles. Next po. Anesthetic and respiratory equipment. So, lung ventilator and related equipment. So, dito naman, ito naman, applicable naman siya dun sa in lung ventilator and breathing therapy device standards, tsaka sa in health informatics standards for labeling on medical electrical equipment and medical electrical systems. In medical electrical equipment and medical electrical system instructions for use and accompanying documents, and for medical electrical equipment and medical electrical systems interoperability and dun sa in electrical health records. So it is applicable to those accessories intended by their manufacturer to be connected to a ventilator breathing system or to a ventilator, where the characteristic of those accessories can affect the basic safety of essential performance of the ventilator and ventilator breathing system. So next natin is medical electrical equipment. So dito naman is it specifies requirements for the basic safety and essential performance for this ME equipment and its accessories, including the requirements for the accuracy of a determination. So, pa-next po. Cosmetics. So, cosmetics microbiology guidelines for the risk assessment and identification of microbiological low-risk products. So dito naman, it gives guidance to cosmetic manufacturers and regulatory bodies to help define those finished products that based on a risk assessment. So present low risk of microbial contamination during production and intended use, and therefore do not require the application of microbiological international standards for cosmetics. So next is the dimensional and geometrical product specification and verification. Geometrical product specification or GPS, geometrical tolerancing datums and datum system. So dito naman ine-specify yung terminology, rules, and methodology for the indication and understanding of datums and datum system in the technical product documentation. So ito rin yung nagpo-provide ng explanation to assist the user in understanding the concept involved. So next is ferrous metal pipes and metallic fittings. Epoxy coating of ductile iron fittings, valves, and accessories. So dito naman cover naman ito yung internal and external coatings for use in the conveyance of raw water, potable water, and wastewater for operating temperature up to 60 degrees Celsius. Next po. Gas cylinders pump marking. So dito naman including dito yung steel and aluminum gas cylinders, composite gas cylinders, acetylene cylinders, liquefied petroleum gas or LPG cylinders, and small cylinders. So next natin is gas cylinders 17E and 25E taper threads for connection of valves to gas cylinders. So dito naman, it specifies the dimension and tolerances for taper screw threads of nominal diameter 7.4 millimeter used for the connection of valves to gas cylinders. So next is next slide po. Graphic technology. Graphic technology process control the production of half-tone, color, separations, proof, and production prints. So, ito naman ine-specify naman niya yung requirements for systems that are used to produce hard copy digital proof prints intended to simulate a printing condition defined by a set of characterization data. Next natin is industrial trucks. Industrial trucks, lorry-mounted trucks. Part 1, safety requirements and verifications. So, ito naman, it deals with all significant hazards, hazardous situations, or hazardous events relevant to machinery when it is used as intended and under conditions of misuse, which are reasonably foreseeable by the manufacturer. So next natin, internal combustion engines. Methods of test of full flow lubricating oil filters for internal combustion engine. So dito naman, it is limited to steady state conditions and does not address fluctuations in the flow rate. Yung test procedure determines the contaminant capacity of a filter, its particulate removal characteristic, and differential pressure. So, itong test na to is intended for the application to filter elements with an efficiency of less than 99% at particle size greater than 10 microampere. So, next natin, next. Machine tools. So, machine tools, environmental evaluation of machine tools. Part 2, methods for measuring energy supplied to machine tools and machine tools components. So, ito naman, nagpa-provide naman ng methods to quantify the energy supplied to components in order to assign their share to generalized machine tool functions. So, next natin is nickel and nickel alloys. Nickel and nickel alloys forgings. So, it specifies requirements for nickel and nickel forgings for general purposes. So next is personal safety, protective clothing and equipment. Protective clothing for firefighters, physiological impact part 1, measurement of focal heat and mass transfer with the sweating torso. So dito naman yung standard naman na to, test method characterizes the essential properties of fabric assemblies of a representative garment of or clothing assembled for thermophysiological assessment, and this test method is intended to be used to measure and describe the behavior of fabric assemblies of a garment or clothing assemble in response to a simulated series of activities under controlled laboratory conditions. So, next po. Protective clothing for firefighters, part 2. Ito naman, yung standard naman na to, the result of this test can be used as the elements of a risk assessment with respect to thermophysiological load. So next natin is plastics. Plastics, vertical flame spread determination for film and sheet. So ito naman, it specifies a test method for measurement of flame spread properties of vertically oriented specimens of plastics in the form of film and sheet, 3 millimeters or less thickness, subjected to a small igniting flame. So next natin is project committee, energy management, activities relating to energy services, guidelines for the assessment and improvement of the service to the users. So ito naman, nagpa-provide naman ng best practice guidelines for energy service providers in order to continually improve their practices and quality interaction with users. So, next po. Rolling bearings, damage and failures. Dito naman, for each failure mode, it defines the characteristic appearance and possible root causes of failure. It will assist in the identification of failure modes based on appearance. So next natin is screw threads. Screw threads, basic and design profiles. Ito naman, it is cheap, applicable or traversing threads for traversing motion on machines, tools. It can also be used for fastening threads. Next is isometric trapezoidal screw threads, general class. So, ito naman, it is chiefly applicable for traversing threads or for traversing motions on machine tools. It can be used also for fastening threads. So, next is isometric trapezoidal screw threads, tolerances naman siya. So, the tolerance system does not apply to trapezoidal screw threads with special requirements on axial displacement. For example, yung machine tool, lead, and feed screws and nuts. Next po. Textiles. Test methods for fibrous activated carbon. So, dito naman, in-specify niya yung test methods for determining the properties of fibrous activated carbon, including the specific surface area for volume, fiber, and sheet properties, mass loss on drying, pH value, total ash content, and performance for solar absorption, methylene blue absorption, and iodine absorption. So next natin is timber structures. Glued laminated timber, test methods for determination of physical and mechanical properties. So ito naman, in-specify niya naman yung methods suitable for determining the following characteristic values of glued laminated timber. Modulus of elasticity in bending, shear modulus, bending strength, modulus of elasticity in tension, parallel to the grain, tension strength parallel to the grain, modulus of elasticity in compression parallel to the grain, compression strength parallel to the grain. Next po. traditional Chinese medicine. So, dito naman, ine-specify nyo naman yung minimum requirements for and test methods for si Sandra, Chinensis, or Turks, Bale, seeds, and seedlings. So, traditional Chinese medicine, panak, no to ginseng, no to ginseng, seeds, and seedlings. So, dito naman, it is suitable for marketing of cultivated ginseng seedlings, panak ginseng, CA Mayer. It is also suitable for quality assurance for ginseng cultivators. Next is tires, rims, and valves. So, electrical resistance, test methods for measuring electrical resistance of tire on the test strip. So, ito naman, electrical resistance inversely measures the ability of the tire to dissipate static charge from the vehicle. Next po. Water quality. Requirements for the establishing performance characteristics of quantitative microbiological methods. So, dito naman, it describes the procedure for determination of performance characteristics, which can be used for subsequent validation or verification of methods. So, next natin is welding and allied processes. Covered electrodes for manual metal are welding of grit-resisting steels. So, dito naman, ito naman yung combined specification for classification utilizing a system based upon the chemical composition of the all-weld metal with the requirements for the yield strength and impact energy of the all-weld metal, or utilizing a system based upon the tensile strength and the chemical composition of the all-weld metal. Next is next po. Next is welding consumables. So dito naman is it is a combined standard providing for classification utilizing a system based upon nominal composition or utilizing a system based upon alloy type. So next natin is non-destructive testing of welds, ultrasonic testing techniques, testing levels, and assessment. So dito naman, ito naman yung primarily intended for use on full penetration welded joints where both the welded and parent material are ferritic. Next. Next is soft soldering fluxes. Test methods part 13, determination of flux sputtering. So dito naman is specifies a method for estimating the tendency of a flux to sputter in use. It is a qualitative method and is only applicable to liquid fluxes. So next is IEC standards. Power transformers. So part 57 to 16, transformers for wind turbine application. So ito naman applies to the transformers having 2, 3, or multiple windings, and it does not apply to converter transformers for industrial applications and converter transformers for traction applications. So next natin is plugs and socket outlets for household and similar purposes. So part 2, particular requirements for adapters. Ito naman, ina-apply naman siya to travel adapters. For travel adapters naman, the scope is limited to a voltage rating greater than 50 volts but not exceeding 250 volts to a current rating not exceeding 200 ampere. Travel adapters allowing the simultaneous connection of 2 or more plugs are not covered by these. Next po. Next is appliance couplers for household and similar general purposes. So dito naman, for household and similar general purposes and intended for incorporation or integration within electric appliances or other electric equipment of multi-part construction for 50 Hz or 60 Hz supply, which depend on the weight of the appliance to ensure correct engagement. So next natin is appliance couplers for household and similar general purposes, part 2 to 1. Sewing machine couplers. So these sewing machine couplers are for alternating current only and have a rated voltage not exceeding 250 volts and a rated current not exceeding 225 ampere. So next is appliance couplers for household. Part 2 to 3, appliance couplers with a degree of protection higher than IPX0. So it applies to appliance couplers with a degree of protection against ingress of water higher than IPX0. Next is natin electrical accessories, cord sets and interconnection cord sets. Ito naman is di naman siya ma-apply dun sa cord sets for industrial purposes with plugs and connectors according to IEC 60309, nor to a cord extension set. Next po. Next is quantities and units. Part 5, thermodynamics. So, ito naman is, it gives name, symbols, and definitions and units for quantities of thermodynamics where appropriate conservation factors are also given. So, next is electroacoustics, hearing aids, method for measuring electroacoustic performance up to 16 kilohertz. So, ito naman is technical specification, describes a coupler measurement methods to characterize the electroacoustic performance of hearing aids and insert earphones primarily in the range of 8 kHz to 16 kHz. So next natin is amendment to 1, lamp control gear, part 2 to 11. Particular requirements for miscellaneous electronic circuits used in luminaries. So, ito naman, it implements to, so it specifies general safety requirements for miscellaneous electronic circuits used with luminaries for use on AC supplies up to 1000 volts to 50 Hz, at 50 Hz or 60 Hz and or DC supplies up to 250 volts. Next po. 6 capacitors for use in electronic equipment. So, dito naman is implements the approval schedule for safety test in IEC 603842 -14 2013. It requires a declaration of design for parameters relevant to safety and indicates conformance test to be conducted on every lot prior to its release and qualification test depending on changes to the declared design. So next is forms the basis for a uniform procedure for a common international safety mark. Then next natin is hollow metallic waveguide. So dito naman ina-aim naman niya yung this recommendation is to specify for hollow metallic waveguides. Unang-una yung the details necessary to ensure compatibility and as far as essential, interchangeability. Next yung test methods, then next is yung uniform requirements for the electrical and mechanical properties. Next natin is semiconductor devices. So, ito naman is for performance evaluations, various electrical performances such as voltage drop from power source to automotive sensors, AC noises, and voltage level are included. Next po. Semiconductor devices. Dito naman is it specifies procedures and definitions for measuring and the efficiency of the wireless power transmission system for the automotive vehicle sensors. So So next natin is semiconductor devices, part 3, shock-driven piezoelectric and energy harvesting for automotive vehicle sensors. So dito naman, it is also applicable to energy harvesting devices for motorbikes, automobiles, buses, trucks, and their respective engineering subsystems, applications without any limitations of device technology and size. So, and next natin is semiconductor devices, part 4, evaluation method of data interface for automotive vehicle sensors. So, it specifies a method of directly fault injection test for automotive semiconductor sensor interface that can be used to support the conformance assurance in the vehicle communication interface. So, that's all for my report.
Next, I'm the next reporter. Kaya I'm Kyle Quiñones. My report is about the newly published ISO and IEC standards. ISO standards or IEC JTC1 technical reports, which is information technology, means future keyboards and other input devices and entry methods. Next is geographic information or geomatics. Next is iron ores and direct reduced iron means determination of apparent density and water absorption of hot brick briquette iron. Next is nuclear energy, measurement of radioactivity means measurement of evaluation of surface contamination, which is the general principles. Next, measurement of radio radioactivity. Itong isa naman ito is the test method using the wipe test samples. So parang ang ibig sabihin parang kumukuha ng samples dun sa radioactivity. Next is the apparatus calibration. Parang ito naman yung next is parang kinakalibrate na. Next one is paper, board, and pulps. Paper and boards. Testing of cores. This is means determination of characteristics of conser- concentric rotation. Next is technical systems and aids for disabled or handicapped person. Accessible design means auditory guiding signals in public facilities. Parang merong mga guiding signals na nakalagay dun sa mga public facilities. Next is transport information and control system. Under nito is electronic fee collection. The application interface definition for autonomous system, which is charging. Parang ito yung parang may bayad, may charge. Next is the communication and connection to the lower layers. And next is the application of interface definition of autonomous, which is context data, pneumatic tubes for automotive vehicle, and technical requirements and test methods. Next is ISO technical specification, which is under nito is packaging, transport packaging, small load container system, or the column stackable system. Next, petroleum products and lubricants. Under nito is petroleum products, which is biodiesel, determination of the of free and total glycerin and mono, di, and triacylglycerols by gas chromatography. Next is determination of the total esters content by gas chromatography. Next is ISO, the ISO IEC JTC1 Information Technology, which is under nito is software engineering. The capabilities of software testing tools. Next is information technology, means the database languages and SQL, multimedia, and application packages. Spatial. Next is programming languages, means the technical specification of the C++ extension for currency. Next, the IEC standards, the electrical accessories, the Corregidam 1, the appliance, uh, couples for household and similar general purposes, the general requirements. The next is the lamp and related equipment, which is the fluorescent induction lamps. This is the safety specification, yung parang pinaka-safe na gamitin. Next is the Amendment 1, yung paggamit ng fluorescent induction lamps. Next is proposed foreign government regulations. U.S. manufacturers, exporters, regulatory agencies, and standards developing organizations may be interested in proposed foreign technical regulations issued by member countries of the World Trade Organization. In accordance with the WTO agreement on technical barriers to trade, members are required to report proposed technical regulations that may significantly affect trade to the WTO Secretariat in Geneva, Switzerland. In turn, the Secretariat disseminates the information to all WTO members. The purpose of this requirement is to provide global trading partners with an opportunity to review and comment on the regulatory before they become final. Next is the American National Standards. The INCITS Executive Board, the ANSI accredited SDO and US tag to ISO IEC JTC1 Information Technology, the National Center for Standards and Certifications Information, which is the NCSCI at the National Institute of Standard and Technology. Next is the American National Standards INCITS Executive Board, ANSI accredited SDO and US tag to ISO IEC JTC1 Information Technology, the International Committee for Information Technology Standards, an ANSI accredited SDO is the forum of choice for information technology developers, producers, and users for the creation and maintenance of formal de jure IT standards. INCID's mission is to promote the effective use of information and communication technology through standardization in a way that balances the interest of all stakeholders and excuse me, and increases the global competitiveness of the member of organization. The IN the INCITS Executive Board serves as the consensus body with its oversight of programs of its 40 plus technical committees. Additionally, the INCITS Executive Board exercises international leadership in its role as the U.S. Technical Advisory Group tag to ISO IEC JTC1 Information Technology. The INCITS Executive Board has membership categories. The current membership comes from a wide array of interested participants including computer system and semiconductor manufacturers, communication carriers, system integrators, software publishers, companies that use information technology, information sharing organization, user groups and consortia, academia and government agencies. Membership in all categories is always welcome. INCITS also seek to broaden its membership base and looks to recruit new participants in the following underrepresented memberships categories. Ito yung mga membership categories ng INCITS, which is the producer, hardware. This category primarily produces hardware products for the ITC marketplace. Next is the producer of the software. This category primarily produce software products for the ITC marketplace. And distributor, this category for the distributors, sellers, or retailers of conformant products in the ITC industry. Next is the user. This category includes entities that primarily rely on standards in the use of a product service as opposed to producing or distributing conformant products services. Next is the consultants. This category is for organizations whose principal in activity is in providing consulting services to other organizations. Next is standard development organizations and consortia. Minor as an SDO or consortia that holds no SC tags assignments but does hold one or more work group or the other subsidiary tax assignments. Next is academic institution. This category is for organizations that include educational institutions, higher education, schools, or research programs. Next is other. This category includes all organizations who do not meet the criteria defined in one of the other interest categories. Membership in the INCITS Executive Board is open to all directly and materially affected parties in accordance with INCITS membership rule. Next is Society of Cable Telecommunication Ansi accredited standard developer. SCTE as an ANSI accredited SDO is primarily organization for the creation and maintenance of standards for the cable telecommunication industry. SCTS standards mission is to develop uh, standards that meet the needs of the cable system operators, content providers, network and consumer premises, equipment manufacturers, and all other who have an interest in the industry through a fair, balanced, and transparent process. SCTE is currently seeking to broaden the membership base of its ANS consensus bodies and is interested in new members in all membership categories to participate in new work in fiber optic networks, advanced advertising, 3D television, and other important topics. Of particular interest is membership from the content, which is the program and advertising provider, um, and user communities. Membership in the SCTE standards program is open to all directly and materially affected parties as defined in SCTE's membership rule and operating procedures. Next, withdrawal of ANSI API standard. This is ANSI API recommended practice of 10B-3 first edition of July 2004 reaffirmed on April 2005 recommended practice on testing of the deep water well cement formulations. The ANSI and API standard has been suppressed by the second edition API standard that has not been processed as an ANS. Since the ANS is no longer being supported by API has withdrawn the standard in accordance with 4.2.1.3.2 of the ANSI Essential Requirements. Next, ANSI accredited standard developers. Approval of accreditation as an ANSI ASD, Crane Power Line Safety Organization, which is the CPLSO. ANSI's Executive Standards Council has approved the Crane Power Line Safety Organization as a new ANSI member in 2005. As an ANSI accredited standard developer, under its proposed operating procedure for documenting consensus on CPLSO sponsored American National Standards. Next is the approval of reaccreditation. American Society of Agricultural and Biological Engineers. The reaccreditation of the American Society of Agricultural and Biological Engineers, which is the ASABE, as an ANSI member and accredited standards developer, has been approved at the Direct of ANSI's Executive Standards Council under ASABE's recent revised operating procedures for documenting consensus on ASABE-sponsored American national standards. Next is the ASC B109 gas displacement meters. The uh, reaccreditation of Accredited Standards Committee of B109 gas displacement meters has been approved at the direction of ANSI's Executive Standard Council under its recently revised operating procedures for documenting consensus on ASC of B109 sponsored American national standards. U.S. Technical Advisory Groups. Approval of tag accreditation. U.S. tag to ISO TC 298 Rare Earth. ANSY's Executive Standard Council has formally approved the accreditation of the U.S. Technical Advisory Group to ISO TC 298 Rare Earth under the model operating procedures of U.S. technical advisory groups to Ansi for ISO activities, and with CSA standards serving as tags as administrator. Next is the flared details for petroleum, petrochemical, and natural gas industries. Pilots. Uh, there are numerous pilots designs available from which to select the most appropriate for the application. Although design alternatives exist, the following are the functional requirements that shall be met. The pilot ignition and detection system shall be designed to operate and properly perform as a minimum for the service life of the flare tip selected, with consideration of the intended maintenance intervals of the pilots. Next is the ANSI WSC standard for pressurized water storage tank. Minimum construction performance design method criteria for steel tanks. The hydrostatic pressure shall gradually be increased until the required test pressure is achieved. It shall be held for 15 minutes. There shall be no sign of external leakage. For composite tanks, a cyclic pressure test shall be performed in accordance with 5.2.5.2. The acceptance criteria shall be 33,000 cycles without leakage. After the cyclic pressure test, a hydrostatic pressure test shall be performed. The hydrostatic test pressure in the test vessel shall be increased at a rate not exceeding 20 uh, psig over per second, until the required hydrostatic test pressure is achieved. The test vessel shall be located between the pressure source and the pressure measurement device. And the test pressure shall be held at the required hydrostatic test pressure for 5 seconds. There shall be no sign of external leakage. Proposed revision to ANSI PRCA 1.0-3-2014 ropes challenge course installation, operation and training standards. An error has been noted in the June 10, 2011 public review changes changes. The purpose of this proposal is to correct the public review error to reflect the standards committee vote on the standard clause. This ANSI public review is for review and comment upon the proposal listed herein only. Note to reviewers: this proposal makes a change to the current standard. The proposed revision is indicated in legislative format. Strike through indicates the deletion of the word, phrase, or material. Underline indicates inters- insertion of new wording, phrase, or material. Only the affected portion of the existing ANS is shown herein. Any non-legislative format materials is provided for context only and is not open for comment. Next is the proposal. Section F, F.12.1, which is the general. Buckles that are an integral part of the system shall have a corner radius of not less than 0.25 inches, and manufacturer shall provide written evidence that all load-bearing buckles have been proof tested to 2,500 pounds. Next is the portable water. Water that is free of objectionable pollution, contamination, minerals, or infection is approved for drinking, culinary, and domestic purposes by the authority having jurisdiction, or in the absence of such authority, water meeting the requirements of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Next is the recycled wastewater. Water that has passed through a treatment facility mainly for use in irrigation, dust control, or fire suppression, and is clearly marked non-potable and unsafe for consumption. Therefore, encouraging conservation of potable water. Next is sanitary condition. Within the meaning of this standard, that physical condition of working quarters which will tend to prevent the incidence and spread of disease. Sanitize. To make free from dirt, infection, disease, etc. by cleaning it to make some sanitary. Next is tertiary standards. A final stage of water treatment before it can be discharged back into the environment. Next is toilet facility. A series of fixtures maintained within a room for the purpose of defecation, urination, or maintaining personal hygiene. Next is the urinal. A fixture maintained within a toilet facility for the sole purpose of urination. Next is a, a water closet. A toilet or fixture which is designed to receive human waste directly from the user and discharge it to the drainage system. Next is Mr. Mutuc.
Next report po, akin po yung last part, Aldwyn LYRE. So, 4.2.7, every toilet seat shall be provided with a hinge lid. Yung hinge lid, ano yun, yung parang sa takip ng toilet, yung ganito. Yan. Ganyan yung example ng hinge lid. Tapos, yung hinge lid kasi, ito yung, di ba, ito yung inuupuan sa toilet na yun nga, yung pinakita ko. Bakit nga ba kailangan ng hinge lid? Dinesign kasi siya para ma-reduce yung pag-spread ng bacteria sa pag-upo mo sa toilet at sa pag-flush. May napanood ako dati na pag pina-flush daw yung toilet, yung bacteria or yung bacteria at saka yung microparticles ang lumalabas sa mismong toilet. Parang tumatalsik or tumatabay sa hangin at pwede siyang umabot up to 5 feet. Kaya ang proper na paggamit ng hinge lid ay i-close muna dapat bago mag-flush. So next, 4.2.8, structures housing portable toilet facilities may be mobile trailers, or prefabricated skid-mounted or otherwise portable units. If they contain more than one toilet fixture, each fixture shall occupy a separate compartment and with a door and walls or partitions between fixtures to assure privacy. Toilet facilities intended for male for male use shall be equipped with urinals. And urinals do not need to occupy separate compartments. Yung dito naman, yung sa structure housing portable, yung sinasabi dito ng toilet facility, sinasabi dito na toilet facility, ito yung madalas na portable, ganun, at hindi siya sementado. Example, yung dito, yung mga portable public na toilet facility, sinasabi na kung magkakaroon man ng more than one toilet, dapat meron siyang sariling barriers and pinto for privacy. Siyempre, sino ba naman may gusto na nakikita ka habang nag-CCR o kaya may katabi ka nag-CCR na hindi mo kakilala or halos pwede na kayong magkwentuhan. So, merong example dito na naging meme noon sa Facebook. Ano siya, ang mga toilet tapos wala siyang mga barriers. Bale, magkakatabi sila. Ito yung example. Yan. Eh, syempre ayaw naman natin yung ganun. Kaya, kailangan yung mga toilet facilities, portable toilet facilities, dapat mas secured sila. So, 4.2.9, the interior floors, walls, ceilings, partitions, and doors of all portable structures shall have a finished surface of solid material, completely enclosed that can be easily sanitized and do not transparent from the outside. Ito, parang kanina lang, maintindihan naman na natin pagkabasa pa sinasabi lang dito na dapat yung interior ng isang portable structure ay uh, finished surface na at made from solid materials para mas madaling linisin at mas may privacy. Next. Next, 4.2.10. Every portable toilet facility shall provide adequate space for the user with minimum inside dimensions of 92 centimeters or 3 feet front to back and side to side. Inside clear height of 1.98 meters or 6 feet and 6 inches, and the toilet fixture riser height of 35 to 51 centimeters or 14 to 20 inches. Sinasabi lang dito na yung standard space at dimension ng isang toilet facility. Ito yung example dyan. Ayan, kung makikita din natin na makikita natin na spaces at proper height yung mga dapat at yung mga handles. Next, 4.2.11. The door housing a single toilet facility shall be provided with an inside latch. Any door leading to the outside shall be self-closing. Yung sinasabi dito, yung single toilet facility dapat daw meron siyang inside latch at may self-closing. Ito yung madalas na nakikita natin sa mga pinto na pag binuksan mo, mag-isa siyang nagsasara. Yung parang ganito. Isa to sa example ng door closing. Tapos yung inside latch naman, ito yung lock na nakikita natin sa mga pinto, sa toilet facility, madalas sa mga mall. Yung may mga, yung nilalak sa pinto, nilalaki yung pinto tapos may lumalabas na out na red side kapag may tao sa loob ng pinto at green naman kapag walang tao. Ito yung example. So next, 4.2.12. If the facility contains a tank in which waste is stored, that tank shall be vented to the outside of the structure with a minimum nominal vent area of 45 centimeters squared or 7/8. Uh, yung, yung dito naman, madalas kasi sa mga portable facilities, meron silang mga tanks na kung saan doon na-store yung mga waste na pinaggamitan sa mismong facility na yon. Sinasabi dito na dapat meron daw siyang nominal vent area na may 45 centimeters for proper ventilation and para din hindi nangangamoy. So 4.2.13, portable toilet facility shall be provided with a screened ventilation opening having a cross-sectional area of at least 0.09 meters squared or 1/5 per 6 feet. Yung portable toilet facility, di ba, madalas nakikita natin sa mga park, pero mas madalas siya sa ibang bansa kasi. So, nakikita natin siya sa mga park or sa mga ah, construction workers sa highway, ganun yung mga ginagamit nilang toilet. Um, Pag nakikita kasi natin yung parang may maliit lang na room na kala natin na may apat na side lang Ka- na naka-enclose. Pero meron meron kasi sila, meron din yun, screen vent. Yun yung sinasabi dito. Minsan nasa taas na part siya or nasa baba na part ng wall para magkaroon ng ventilation sa loob at para hindi ma- hindi mag-cause ng suffocation or mabawasan din yung init. Next, 4.2.40. To prevent tip over in high wind situations, it is recommended that no more than two units be carried together and then stabilized on the ground. Uh, Yun lang, sinasabi lang din dito na yung recommended na maximum unit lang yung sinasabi na ah, recommended na 2 units lang yung magkasama. Just in case na malakas yung hangin, hindi matatangay or dapat nakalapad, at nakalapad din pala sa ground for stability. Next slide. 4.2, 4.2.15, deodorizers, when used, shall be in accordance with applicable federal, state, and local provisions at each time of service. At each time of service, the waste container shall be completely drained and sanitized, then recharged with water and deodorizer before use. Uh, Yun dito, kung gagamitin naman ng deodorizer, dapat kumbaga may conformity sa federal, state and local provisions. Itong mga deodorizer na to, madalas, para silang patch, sila yung nilalagay sa mga waste container to lessen the odor. At bago maglagay ng deodorizer, dapat completely dry and sanitize na yung paglalagyan mo. Next, 4.2.16, hand washing facilities in accordance with GAP best practices shall be shall be placed adjacent to and on the outside of portable restroom units. For efficiency after employees break and for visual assurance that proper hygiene is being followed, Locating hand wash facilities within portable restroom units is also an accepted practice. As long as proper hand washing techniques are discussed with all employees and documented, and signage stating the requirement that employees must wash hands prior to returning to work is posted in an obvious location inside the unit. Hand wash facilities shall be equipped with a foot pump or hands-free system to deter the exchange of communicable disease and to be equipped with their own gray water tank to prevent overfilling or uh, accidental spillage of black water in the portable restroom tank wherein transport to different locations on site. Best example dito, yung sa entrance sa school natin sa RTU. Di ba kapag pinapapasok ngayon, nire-required tayo na maghugas ng kamay with hand soap at may mga proper uh, signage din na nakalagay kung paano yung proper na paghugas at meron din silang food pump na tatapakan mo na lang ah, para ma-on yung faucet. Yung sinasabi naman na gray water, ito yung mga use use na tubig na pwede pang magamit after uh, filtration. Yung black water naman, ito naman yung tubig na contaminated na yung i-dispose nila. Next slide. Next slide, ay, dyan na pala. 4.2, 4.2.17, hand washing facilities shall be maintained in clean and sanitary condition and follow all guidelines set forth in Ansi V 4.3-20 for sanitation. Nancy waste disposal system, minimum requirements section 6.3, hand wash station requirements, they must be properly stocked with unscented soap and single-use paper towels at all times. Ito naman, parang yung sinabi lang dun sa 4.2.16, bukod sa dapat i-maintain yung mga hand wash facility na dry and clean, dapat meron din disposal system sa mga hand washing facilities at matatakal natin mamaya yung sa uh, section 6.3. So, next muna, 4.2.18, a sanitary receptacle shall be built in or near the hand washing facility for disposal of used paper towels. If not built in, the receptacle shall have a tight fitting cover. Yung dito, ang sanitary receptacle, basically, trash can lang. Yan, so dapat daw na malapit sa at built-in siya sa built-in near the sink para mas madaling i-dispose yung mga nagamit na paper towel. Next, 4.2.19, signage must be present at the hand wash facilities. Statements of water for hand washing purposes only, not for consumption, or any equivalent warning not to drink the water. And employees must wash wa- must wash hands after using toilet. Shall be recognized in the form of diagrammatic posters. Proper hand washing techniques must be easily identifiable in both English and native language of the workers. Same pa rin sa kanina na best example din dito yung sa nakikita natin sa CR sa RTU yung sa may hand wash area na may mga notes sila na wash your hands, yung mga ganun, after using toilet. At yung sa hand wash area, no, Meron ding mga signage doon kung paano yung proper na paghugas at kung saan yung mga hand soap. Next, 4.2.20, water testing should be done frequently by the water source. If distributed by a municipality, they can supply the results needed. Nire-require na magkaroon ng water testing para malaman kung malinis pa ba yung tubig na nadi-distribute, kung contaminated na ba, lalo na kung may ah, tank na ginagamit kasi madalas, 'di ba, malaki yung chance na magkalumot kapag ah, may naka-store na tubig sa isang tank. Parang sa mga mineral station, meron silang monthly na water testing na kapag bumagsak ata sila doon, pwedeng ipasara yung water station. Tapos next slide po. Next 4.3, maintenance. Portable Portable toilet and hand washing facilities shall be maintained in accordance with appropriate public health sanitation practices, including Ansi G 4.3-20 exec for sanitation, non-sewage waste disposal system, minimum requirements, and the following. So, 4.3.1, toilet facilities shall be operational and maintained in a clean and sanitary condition at all times. Servicing shall include the use of a cleaning solution for sanitizing urinals and shoes. Servicing shall Servicing shall also include the removal of waste from containers, the recharging of containers with a deodorizer solution and potable water, and the installation of an adequate supply of toilet tissue. Uh, Dito naman, maintenance ng mga toilet facility. Sinasabi na dapat operational lahat yung mga gamit, kunwari sa mga faucet, dapat umaandar sila or hindi sila nagli-leak, ganon, or hindi tumutulo. Sa mga flash naman, dapat umaandar at hindi sila at ah, dapat umaandar kasi 'di ba madalas nasisira yung sa mga flash sa toilet. At saka dapat ma-maintain na malinis. Gumagamit din ng cleaning solution at antibacterial parang overall sanitation ng mga toilet facilities. Next, 3.3.2, the disposal of waste from facilities shall conform to local, state, and or federal regulation and shall not cause unsanitary conditions. Yun dito, self-explanatory naman na sinasabi lang na yung pag-dispose ng waste sa mga facility ay dapat i-comply, ah, dapat mag-comply sa mga rules and standards ng isang lugar at hindi ito mag-cause ng unsanitary conditions. Next po. Next, 4.4, reasonable use. Employees shall be allowed reasonable opportunities during the workday to use the facility, taking into account the ambient temperature and humidity, as well as the health, age, and physical condition of the individual employee. 4.4.1, it is the uh, it is the responsibility of the agricultural employer to advise all employees on the importance of good hygiene, which in turn should minimize the amount of exposure in the field from either excessive heat, communicable diseases, and individual health issues. Dito naman, promote ng employer or company na magkaroon ng good hygiene yung mga employees to lessen or to prevent the health issues. Lalo na ngayon, pandemic, may mga ibang companies din na nagkakaroon ng seminars or nagpo-provide sila ng seminars about the importance of having a good hygiene. Next, 4.4.2, good hygiene practices should be explained as follows. To use the facilities for elimination as often as physical necessary to prevent personal health infections. To drink water frequently, especially on hot days. Wash hands before and after using toilet facilities. And to wash hands before eating and or smoking. Ito naman yung madalas kasama yung mga so sa mga ito naman madalas yung mga ito nakasama din sa mga seminar na provide ng company about the importance of having a good hygiene nga. So kasama na rin kasama na rin dito yung mga proper ways na paggamit ng mga bagay sa given facility. Next. 5, temporary labor camps and housing. Some sections of information throughout this standard can be referenced back to Ansi Z4.1-20XX for sanitation in places of employment minimum requirements. Depend on the type of condition present. Labor camps and housing criteria will fall under the International Building Code. Use and occupancy classification R-2 for live work units where residential occupancy containing sleeping units or more than two dwelling units where the occupants are primarily permanent in nature or will fall under the International Residential Code for one and two family dwellings. All applicable codes and regulations shall be recognized for temporary labor, camps, and housing in either new construction or in the case of remodeling of existing buildings and shall comply with the regulations of the authorities having jurisdiction. Next step. 5.1 site. So 5.1.1 all sites used for camps and housing shall be drained and not be subject to periodic flooding. The camps or housing shall be located so that the drainage from and to the site will not endanger any domestic or public water supply. All sites shall be graded, ditched, and rendered free from depressions in which water may become freestanding. Sinasabi naman dito na yung mga camps and housing should be placed in safe and dry environment para maiwasan yung flooding at para magkaroon ng proper drainage. At lahat ng mga sites ay kailangan i-evaluate and graded just in case na dumaha. Ah, kung kaya kung kaya niya bang ma-sustain yung mga ah, environment hazards. So next 5.1.2, the site shall not be located within 20 feet of a swamp, sinkhole, or other surface collection of water unless stagnant water surface is subject to uh, mosquito control measures and is fenced and posted with do not swim signs in English and the language of the migrants at the site. Dito naman, na dapat yung site na gagawin mo, nasa 200 feet away sa mga bumaba na na lugar at sink at sa sinkhole. Dapat din maiwasan na malapit sa mga stagnant water kasi ito yung mga pinupugaran ng mga mosquitoes. Yung mga stagnant water, yun yung ah, ano, parang baha may part lang na dun sa lugar na baha. Parang may palubog lang siya tapos may nabaha. Ganun. Ah, kasi kapag napugaran yun, ay iniwasan yan para kasi pinupugaran siya lagi ng mga mosquitoes na possible maging hazard sa mga tao sa site. At pwede rin tumaas yung possibility na magkaroon ng dengue. At dapat din ah saka kung sakaling may stagnant water man near the site, maglalagay tayo dapat ng signage to warn the residents na huwag pumunta sa place na yun. So 5.1.3 all sites shall be sized to prevent overcrowding of necessary structures. The principal site area in which food is prepared and served and where sleeping quarters are located shall be at least 150 meters or 500 feet from any area in which livestock is quartered or fed. Sinasabi naman dito na dapat appropriate yung size ng site or yung floor size ng isang site ah, sa numbers ng mga magse-stay or magtatrabaho dun sa given site na yun. Para maiwas para maiwasan yung overcrowding at may maayos na working place. Kung mas maluwag yung place, mas mabilis at mas comfortable yung pagtatrabaho. Dapat din na nasa 150 meters yung layo ng site sa livestock area nyo kasi kung malapit man sa sleeping area or sa may kitchen, pwedeng makontaminate yung mga pagkain pag malapit tayo sa livestock. Kahit na sabihin natin ah, malayo kasi siya, yung may mga bacteria pa rin na tumasama sa agos ng hangin. So, kaya nire-required na at least 150 meters away from the livestock quarter. Next, next, 6.2.3, deodorizers. Ito yung parang kanina lang din. Skip na natin. So, next na tayo, 6.2.4, flashing shall be accomplished by controls operable without special knowledge and are clearly identifiable. The unit must have a vigorous flow to carry waste into the container. Dito naman, dapat identifiable yung control. Kunwari sa pagpa-flush, ah, meron kasing mga toilet ngayon, di ba, na high-tech na tulad sa Japan. Pa, ah, may mga may mga iba't ibang pagpa-flush. Kasi may pagpa-flush sa Japan na pang ihi lang, ganon. Meron din pang flush na para sa poop. So, magkahiwala yung controls nila. Kaya dapat mas may identifiable yung mga controls for proper use. Next na, 6.3 hand wash station requirements. 6.3.1 all units intended for hand washing must be labeled and clearly identified as not for consumption or with an equivalent warning not to drink the water. The number of units to be provided is to be based upon to the number of toilet facilities required and shall be accordance with table number 2. ito yung sinasabi kanina dun sa 3.3 na dun sa previous na sinabi ko. Well, paki-next. Ayan yung sinasabi dun sa table 2 na yung minimum number of hand wash stations in every uh, toilet facilities, in every 1 to 10 toilet facilities, dapat merong required na minimum at least minimum na hand washing station. Kumbaga, every 10 toilet facilities, at least dapat meron isang hand washing station. For the purpose of this standard, the required number of hand wash stations are equipped with a minimum of one faucet. Care must be taken to ensure that the required numbers of stations are provided based on the type and style of unit being. Next. 6.3.2 materials that are in contact with dewey water shall be non-absorbent and corrosion resistant. Ito, nasabi naman na kanina kung ano yung gray water. So, parang self-explanatory na lang din na sinasabi na dapat non-absorbent and corrosion resistant yung paggamit ng material ay yung gagamitin na material or passage ng gray water. Kasi yung gray water, di ba, hindi siya kasing linis ng potable water. So, parang, so pag hindi siya gaanong malinis, and yung tubig, mas mabilis, kapag hindi siya gaanong malinis, mas mabilis ma-trigger yung mga materials na gagamitin na pwedeng mag-cause ng pangangalawang at yung paglulumot. At pwede rin siyang bumaho. So, next 6.3.3, potable water and wastewater passage shall have smooth surface and shall be free of obstructions, recesses, or chambers that would allow fouling or algae buildup to occur. Dito naman na dapat patag or smooth yung passage ng tubig para hindi ah, para maiwasan yung pagpo-flood at paglulumot dun sa passage na dadaanan ng potable water or wastewater. Example dito, di ba, yung sa mga drainage natin. Di ba, madalas sa mga drainage natin, hindi sila gaano smooth at may mga part na nagsistay yung water. Dahil sa ganong pangyayari, nagkakaroon ng paglulumot, gano'n, at mataas din yung chance na lumubog kasi may minsan nagsistay or nababaraduhan. Next, 6.3.4. At each time of service, the wastewater container shall be completely drained and sanitized. Then recharge the water. Recharge with water that was potable prior to being transferred to the service trunk. At the moment of transfer, the water then becomes non-potable and unsafe for consumption. All necessary items, hand soap, and proper towels are to be restocked in order for the unit to be considered fully functional. Uh, dapat laging nai-drain tsaka nasa-sanitize yung wastewater container. Tapos palitan ng potable water sa coming from the service truck. Note then na all water from a potable source that is to be used for a service vehicle water tank immediately becomes non-potable in the becomes non-potable the moment it enters the tank on the service vehicle. basically sinasabi niya na kapag naglipat ka ng potable water sa service block, nagiging non-potable water na siya, hindi na siya ah, kumbaga non-consumable na. Ganun. And syempre, dapat do not forget to restock the needed items such as hand soap and paper towels. Next, 6.3.5, units should be serviced at a maximum of 45 days and sanitized with a 10% bleach and water solution to maintain sanitary conditions. Um, Next na tayo dito kasi self-explanatory naman na pagbasa pa rin natin, alam na natin. So, 6.4, trailer facility requirements. 6.4.1, types of manufactured potable sanitation trailers can range from enclosing portable restroom, decontamination units, locker, locker compartments, shower facilities, or combination units and laundry equipment. Um, Sinasabi lang dito yung mga type ng sanitary trailer facilities, which is yung portable restroom, decontamination unit, locker compartment, shower facilities, or combination units and laundry equipment. So next na, 6.4.2. Unless otherwise designated, all trailer systems must be in accordance with the title 24 Code of Federal Regulations, Part 3280 for mobile manufactured home construction standards, including Part 3280.607 dash plumbing fixtures, in addition to all applicable federal and state local provisions. Yung ah, mga nasa batas lang yung mga nandito. Or, ano bang tawag dito? Or yung sinasabi lang na dapat dito, may mga standard na sinusundan mo yung mga standard ng plumbing fixture na applicable at tanggap sa given places na kung saan nilalagay yung trailer facility. So, next, 7, disposal of wastewater. 7.1, discharge and disposal of wastewater must follow all applicable federal, state, and local laws and be accordance with the proper disposal of wastewater by the authorities having jurisdiction. Kapag nagdi-dispose or nagdi-discharge ng wastewater, hindi pwedeng itapon na lang sa mga pond, lake, or sa mga sa ilog. Kasi yung kasi yung mga waste na yan, ah, yung mga waste na pagtapon sa mga ponds, gano'n, sa lake rivers, ay prohibited prohibited by federal, state, and local laws unless dadaan yung wastewater mo sa filtration and and pag treated na yung wastewater, dun na papayagan ng authorities na i-dump yung wastewater sa pond, lake, or sa mga rivers. Meron din na tinatawag na subsurface discharge na kung saan tinatapon or dinidispose yung tubig underground, pwedeng maghukay or sa mga septic tank. Meron ding water use na pagkatapos dumaan sa filtration at water treatment, Ah, ginagamit yung tubig na yon more on agriculture na. Next, 7.2, adherence to the policy set report by the local authorized wastewater treatment facility will be observed in terms of proper policy and procedures for discharge and disposal of wastewater. Sinasabi na yung sa yung sinasabi na dun sa pag-dispose ng wastewater ay sinicheck ng mga local facilities kung tama ba yung procedure ng pag-dispose or pag-discharge mo. Next, 7.3. Uh, 7.3, both the company and the employee operating within the industry must meet any and all federal, state, and local municipality standards, licensing, and permits in order to haul and dispose of liquid waste. Ito self-explanatory na lang din na dapat lahat ay sumunod at ma-meet yung mga standard ng federal, state, or local municipality sa liquid waste. Next. Dito naman, BSR 679-18, Standard for Safety for Explosive Atmosphere Fire Treating Equipment Protection by Encapsulation. The vision for 10 is to align with the test as specified in 8.2.2 and correctly conflict with the next proposal. 10 DV DR modification of clause 10E to replace the following. In addition to the requirements of IECUL 679.0, the marking shall include A. The rated voltage, B. The rated current, C. The prospective short circuit current of the external electric supply source is less than 1,500 amperes. For example, permitted supply short circuit current is 500 amperes, and optionally, the permitted prospective short circuit current of the external electrical supplies the equipment is designed for a short circuit current of 1,500 or more. For example, permitted supply for circuit current 2,500 amperes. Next moment. And wala na yan. So, next na tayo. 9, in addition, BSR UL 507, Standard for Safety for Electric Fans. 9, addition of an exception to allow the use of a cord connection for an attic fan. So 13.1.2, with reference to the requirements specified in 13.1.1, the following types of appliances shall be provided with means of permanent electrical connection to the power supply. A. Attic fan, an appliance intended for permanent attachment to a building structure. C. Duct connected appliance. Yung duct connected appliance, ito yung mga ito yung mga vents na nakikita natin sa mga mall or sa mga supermarket, yung sa parang ceiling, may mga passage vents. Tapos, D. Range hood. Yung range hood naman, ito naman yung makikita madalas sa mga kitchen vents. Exception 1. A true wall or in-glass fan not intended to be used in cooking area is not required to be provided with a means for permanent electrical connection with it is provided with a power supply cord. Uh, A is at least 0.46 meters or 16 inches and not more than 3.05 meters and or 10 feet long. B has three conductors, one being a gauge grounding conductor. C is type S, SJ, SJO, SJT, SJTO, SOST, dash 3, SPT, dash 3, ST, or STO. D is permanently attached to the fan and E complies with the requirements in 14.1.2 and 14.2.1 to 14.2.5. Yung rubel o kaya yung glass pan na hindi ginagamit sa pagluluto ay kailangan ng permanent electrical connection. Kung meron na siyang power supply cord na yun nga yung sa sinabi sa mga numbers na to. ah Next extension number 2, a portable fan with provision for and temporary mounting, such as keyhole slot, is not required to be provided um, with means for permanent electrical connection when it is provided with a power supply cord that is permanently attached to the fan and complies with the requirement of 14.1, 14.2.1, and 14.2.5. Next na tayo. Extension 3, wall mounted, ceiling mounted, and ID mounted or uh, ulit extension 3, wall mounted, ceiling mounted, ID mounted, or suspension bracket mounted fan marked for commercial, industrial, or agricultural use is not required to have provision for permanent electrical connection when provided with a power supply cord that A has three conductors, B is type SJ or heavier terminating in unacceptable grounding type attachment plug. C has a length of 0.50 to 3.7 meters or 1.5 to 12 feet. D is permanently attached to the fan. E complies with the requirements of 14.1.2 and 14.2.1 to 14.2.5. And F is marked in accordance with 62.1.10 or 111.1. Next tayo, extension number 4. Uh, a downdraft fan is not required to be provided with a means of permanent electrical connection when it is with a power supply cord. Ay, yung downdraft fan, ito yung sa mga case, ito yung example mo. Okay, so, in next method. Sinasabi na means for permanent electrical connection when it is provided with a power supply cord that has uh, at least 457.2 millimeters or 18 inches, but not more than but not more than 762 millimeters or 30 inches long. B has three conductors, one being the equipment grounding conductor. C is type S, SJ, SJO, SJT, SJTO, SOST, or STO. D is permanently attached to the fan at a location intended to be below the surface or of the cooking area. And E complies with the requirements of 14.1.2 and 14.2.1 to 14.2.5. Extension number 5, range hood. Ito yung example ng range hood. Uh, kung baga nasa taas naman ka. So, it is not range hood is not required to be provided with a means for the permanent electrical connection when it is complies with the requirements in subsection 91.6 cord connected range hood, subsection 91.7 range hood cord connection kit, and subsection 92.5 test for connected range hood. Subsection 92.6 test for uh, test for range hood cord connection kit. Section 92A rating for cord connected range hood. Section 93A installation instruction for range hood and cord connection kit, and 93.3 to 93.5. Next na. Next, extension 6, an inline fan, an inline duct fan. Yung sa inline duct fan, ito siya. Madalas nakikita sa mga kitchen. Ganito yung ginagamit natin. So, it's not required to be provided with the means for permanent electrical connection, and it is provided with the marking defined in item X, and is not and it is provided with a supply cord that A is not longer than 1.82 meters or 6 feet measured from the point at which the cord emerged from the unit to the face of the attachment plug. B is type SJ or equivalent. C is permanent attached to the fan. D has three conductors, and being the equipment grounding conductors. A complies with the requirement, and F in accordance with 6.2.1.1. Next motion. Uh, Extension number 7, an attic fan. Ito yung example ng attic fan. Yung mga nakikita din natin sa mga pabrika na ganito, yung iniikot. Yan yung mga example ng attic fan. An attic fan is not required to be provided with a means of permanent electrical connection, and it is provided with a power supply cord that has two conductors, one being the equipment grounding conductors. B is type S, SJ, SJA, SJT, SJTO, SOST, or STO. C has a length of 0.50 or 0.50 to 1.8 meters or 1.5 to 6 feet. Um, and E complies with the requirements of 14.1.2 and 14.2.1 to 14.2.5, and F uh, is marked or it is noticed in the installation instructions portion. Do not use with extension cord, and G does not contact the fan blade by one of the following methods. One, guarding next One, the moving portable, guarding the moving portable to reduce likelihood of cord contact or locating the corded sheet and length of cording is such that likelihood or cord contact with moving blade is minimized. Reconstructions are provided as well as cord tag marking to instruct the installer to route cord away from stand blade. Next na tayo, standard for safety for appliances wiring materials. Proposed change to add 350 degrees Celsius plus 10 nickel coated copper conductors to table 5.3. Next. Ito yung sa proposal. Um, yung sa dry temperature, yung 60 degrees Celsius versus um, 140 degree Fahrenheit. Dito naman yung mga air oven condition, yung oven temperature nila. And ito yung sa kung gaano kahaba or gaano katagal nila at sinek yung rating. So note, for temperatures other than those listed on the above table greater than 250 degrees Celsius or 482 degrees Fahrenheit, the following formula shall be used to calculate the 7-day aging temperature. And check na lang yan. So next po. Proposed change to correct the EP references in 7.1. Proposal na note from the project manager for brevity only the affected portion of the table is shown. 7.1 index to insulation, buffer, covering, shields, and jackets. So ito yung materials yung sa dry temperature rating at yung applicable table of physical properties tsaka yung note sa mga materials. So, ayan, i-check na lang yan. Next na natin. Proposed change to add 350 degrees Celsius plus 10 nickel coated copper conductors to table 5.3. So, etong sa table 5.3, conductors, metal specification. Dito, kung ano yung mga conductor metals, which is copper, nickel coated. Meron siyang temperature limit for the metal ng 250 degrees Celsius or 482 Fahrenheit. Sa copper nickel coated class 10 naman, meron siyang 350 degrees Celsius at 662 degrees Fahrenheit. Sa copper nickel coated type A, 27% minimum nickel coated copper. Ang temperature limit naman niya ay 550 degrees Celsius to 500 degrees Celsius at 1022 degrees Fahrenheit. Copper tin coated mentioned in this table refers to the copper strands of the conductors that are coated with tin before they are twisted. Copper metallurgically bonded via the addition of tin mentioned in this table refers to the copper strands that are twisted and then coated with tin. Next. Ito naman yung sa materials and properties ng neoprene, CP, CPE, and NBR or PVC. Meron tayong class A, B, and C. Tapos yung sa conditions and before aging. Yan, i-check na lang i-check nyo na lang kung gusto nyo. So, yun lang po. Yun lang po yung sa report ko. Thank you po. And have a nice